Roger Cummings here today. I'm really excited to have Roger here. I'll give a little bio as to who Roger is. But the Richfield Residency, the Richfield Artist Resident Engagement, is an artist residency initiative in partnership with the Cornerstone Group, a progressive real estate developer that solves community challenges through innovation and collaboration to increase access to art experiences. The residency is designed to cross boundaries and disciplines and invite Richfield residents to participate in building its more vibrant future. It's supported by an Arts Access Grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board and administered by Forecast Public Art. Roger Cummings is an artist, co-founder, and artistic director of Juxtaposition Arts. Juxtaposition creates authentic opportunities for youth and residents in North Minneapolis and communities like it to exercise creative leadership through hands-on experiences in the arts. Roger and his wife Deanna Cummings and artist Peyton Russell founded Juxtaposition Arts in 1995 to be a place where youth who were most often seen as at risk could harness their youthful exuberance and develop their creative talents in order to improve their outcomes in life and make positive contributions to their neighborhood. Juxta was recognized as having one of the top 50 out-of-school arts programs in the U.S. by the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities. They have presented on their best practices to diverse audiences at New York University, Harvard University School of Education, the University of Minnesota, Macalester College, and the Walker Art Center, to name a few. Thanks, Roger, for coming.
That's what's up.
Known Roger for quite a while now and always have been in huge admiration of your work, and thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
I don't know, this residency here in Richfield for me has been about working with communities and engaging them through art, and you've been doing it for such a long time. What can the arts offer communities that other sectors can't? I know you've been working in this realm in the private and nonprofit world for a long time, and you've had many of different partnerships, but like, what is special about the arts in this environment?
Like when I go and do a residency, let's say I go to Alvarado or Oslo, Minnesota, way up by the border, North Dakota and Canada. It's like I get invited up there sometimes, and I'm wondering why. Why do you want me here? I don't, this is like not a diverse community. What could I possibly contribute? What connects with people is like a personal thing. It's like with the aerosol art. They like names, they like color, they like that dynamic, a personal connection in a way. So when you do names for people and show people how to do things that they didn't necessarily know how to do before, that makes them stronger and better, and it makes it a more relevant thing. So it's not like you're putting somebody on, but you're just showing them something new and dope, and you're learning from them something new and something dope about their place and their culture and things like that.
Like this new thing that has come into the fold is like economic development and using arts as a tool for that, or not even a tool, but yeah, a tool to get to those places. And it's such a hot topic, this topic of placemaking partnerships. Is there a business or arts model that can be mutually beneficial to both like community and commerce? So you guys do that through your work, and you can use Juxta as an example, but like, I mean, do you feel like there can be those models that like both sides benefit, the commerce part, like business, and like a community side?
Absolutely. I think it's important that if you have the ability, if you're an artist and you do magic, you're able to do magical things, and you're able to be a creative, then you should be able to create things for people that benefit them, and some of that is money. If I work with people, kids in Wayzata, who have wealthy parents, they like to earn their own money. If you show them how to make money, you show them how to make dope things that are relevant, they can appreciate that. So I think the 21st century practice is a coupling of art, cultural production, and economics. Andy Warhol did it really well just as a studio practice and able to monetize that. And so I think for us taking it to another level and seeing how what we do impacts community and how we can make a better community, if that's housing, if that's transparency in law enforcement, if that's taking a underused or underutilized area and making it useful, and through the wants and desires of the people in the neighborhood. I think that's the 21st century practice, but it definitely has to connect with economics.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the evolution in you and Dee's thought process when, along those big changes? You've kind of been in front of it, and I just want to hear a little bit about the story, how it's evolved.
Art centers and places for cultural production. It's kind of like a fort. When you were little, you could go ahead and go and make your fort. We used to make forts a lot because we could do whatever we wanted to in our forts. We could have I don't know, Kool-Aid or Slurpees or whatever, and just like situate in our little fort, and so this is kind of the expansion of that in a way, and we can kind of have what we want in there, and people can have a chance to explore. Educationally, we could write curriculum and have a different pedagogical approach than traditional schools, and make the learning experience a lot better and more impactful. Team teaching was a part of that. We like team teaching, so if you're not getting what you need from that one teacher, the other teacher should be able to, get that to you, to be able to bring in artists that people in the neighborhood wouldn't necessarily have a chance to connect with. It's like how important was like Twist, how impactful was Twist, coming to the North Minneapolis community and showing kids how to make a buff-proof marker. It's like that just like added a lot of value. I thought that was bomb. David Cho was another one. To get that energy and always keep that energy and keep it fresh with different visiting artists, different artist teachers, artists in residence, and the economic component, so that it's enough, so that it benefits the household where the young people come from. And again, Wayzata kids who don't need that kind of money, they like that experience of all these different artists coming in. They like being in diverse places, and they like juxtaposing that with their experiences at their schools, and to make a little bit of money on their own without trust fundy type of things happening.
Why the career of an artist? I know that you're more than that right now. You wear many different hats, but like, what is the power in the role of an artist? I guess that's like what I'm looking for. I'm looking to you as a spiritual advisor.
So to be able to break the rules, so being an artist that has the base of like an aerosol writer, to be able to go into places and alter the space, and being of like a I guess a retired breakdancer, to be able to occupy space on a sidewalk or on a dance floor when people would be dancing or roller skating or something like that, and they just get annoyed like, oh, the breakdancers, and they but we're able to make space unapologetically and alter space unapologetically and take risks. If I could do math really well and science really well and I could be a doctor, I would do this in a doctor setting, so we could break rules on how we approach a medical practice. If I had that, that's what I would be doing. I just happen to be a painter who likes to be defiant and break rules, and I think young people innately do that. They like to break rules and jump a little higher and a little further, and so that's kind of what we have at Juxta, is a bunch of rule breakers that are super smart, and we give them space to create and challenge kind of the status quo.
There's other tough topics. I mean, I love the role of the artist in like community, and we've been working in this way for a long time, but like the other thing I think we're both concerned with, I think a lot of the artists that we know in the cities are really, there's issues of race and class. I don't know if you address it straight on with art, or if if that just comes out by working with community. What duty does an artist have to that kind of thing? Or what do you feel personally?
As an artist, you're able to get into different spaces that a lot of people don't get a chance to get in. You're obligated, I think, to speak truth to power. I think people with money, developers or planners or anybody with any kind of juice, usually doesn't get critiqued a lot or challenged a lot, or told that their process is whack, or that what they're doing is whack and sucks and you could do it better, or giving them feedback. People just like nod and like, yes, everything you do is good, yes. And so to advocate for the underdog, I think, is super important. I think that's the role of the artist, is to be able to advocate, verbally, visually, for that. As far as race goes, I think demystifying some things, challenging is like super important. Picasso's great, and so is Gauguin and like the so-called pseudo masters, which is fine. But the aerosol and writing culture has had a larger impact on the world than any of them or any other art. Cubism, that's great. You bring it to China, you bring it to Brazil, they're not going to care. You bring an aerosol writer and that stuff to Brazil, they fucks with you, and they'll go ahead, and they don't have to speak your language, but they know that you bomb and you get up and you fly and you got flavor, and they'll mess with you. I think you could do the same thing with with BMX and skateboards and like stuff like that. So it's like relatable. So people of color started that. People of color, urban kids, started that whole movement. Young people started that, and it's more relevant than these modern masters. So you have to be that person as an artist. You got to be that person in the room that calls the bullshit, and not everybody's gonna like that or like you. And so just get ready for the haters to line up, and you just gotta be that person. Otherwise, you're just going along to get along, and it sucks, and you feel bad about yourself. And it's kind of a self-hate thing when you go home and you knew that was bullshit, and you just didn't say anything. And you got paid, and it was all good. So
I remember when you told me, you're like, yeah, you aren't doing your part if you aren't like stirring it up. So
yeah,
I mean,
you have to be that person. And sorry, you have, and people, non-people of color, I think that is their role as well, because with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, really white lives matter, and it's important for them to get in the forefront of a lot of things, because they're not going to be punished as severely as people of color will be punished, and so you can push a little further. Their voice holds more weight to a large degree. That people defer to them because they have light skin, and therefore they must be more intelligent and have more credibility, and that's not necessarily true. So it's important to one, challenge that, and two, to be able to be like, yo, y'all need to be able to like kick in on this, because y'all aren't going to get the business like we're going to get the business, and I think that's what allyship is a part of too.
I think that totally translates into the developer-artist relationship or community, because I mean, it's like, yeah, if there's some real truth there, and then there's equity in the decision making. I mean, obviously it's somebody's capital, but like at some point in time, it's got to be like, well, these voices are just as smart, and you could make the money off of this if you do it in that way. It's
right. You got to be more creative. That's a lot of people are very non-creative. I think that's the role of the artist, like to be able to add some to the creativity of business plans and pro formas, so that things there is some profit there, but it's a different way to thinking about profit and in development in big business. So that we need to be in a room, and it's our obligation to know how to be business people as well. So we're not just we can paint pretty shit and then that's it. No, we know how to do the books. We know how to split a dime 6 different ways.
What role can we have as like creating our institutions, our own institutions? I mean, you guys have just always done a good job of like being like a source of like getting money for projects that you want and making it happen, or developing that own base of like funders to be able to do that. How does an artist become an institution, and how does like that's 20 years deep, like of your evolution.
You're doing it here with this space. So this could be all yours, and you could just selfishly have your own shit. But how can you make it better for other people? And I think that's like a key to a 21st century practice. So if you have a large studio, let's say a 5,000 square foot studio, how can you break that down into smaller parts so that other people can benefit in having a studio that they wouldn't have had before for an affordable price, or a subsidized price, or a sliding fee price? Just thinking about it like that, and even on like a larger thing, we can think about it like with apartments, or with and then you start to institution build like that, and that's a part of being able to stabilize rent so that people aren't pushed out. It's a part of staking claim, and it's a part of other people benefiting other than you from your creativity and their creativity and stuff too.
Everybody talks about metrics, and like, most of all, they want to see how many kids you worked with, but how do you talk about like an engagement or genuine engagement? How do you train a philanthropist or train a funder to, I don't know, do you feel that you have to train them, or do they just trust you now that you're like a trusted ally? I think you have to bring them along,
and they're bring them out to the spots, and have them have conversations. Just to have those conversations with them and bring them along. You don't want it to be like, you're dumb, your ideas are dumb, but you just have money. But just like, this is what works, and this is what doesn't work, and where have you seen this work? Well, then you shouldn't support this, because that's old think, and you actually are hurting the community by funding cornballs that come in randomly and don't, one, aren't asked for, two, don't give back. And it's like the Teach for America of like art, and so that's how artists can destroy a neighborhood. So all artists are not good, and all artists don't have good intentions. There are some artists that function as gentrifiers and opportunists, and we had to figure out a way to identify them and out them and stop that nonsense. And artists get used too, so it's important to figure out how not to get used by developers, just so that you can do the community engagement, and then they're going to do what they want to do anyway. So we have to be very careful about that, us doing different placemaking type of things or greenway type of things, so that we aren't the ones that destroy. Because I'm going to be accountable, because they're going to be booing me whenever I come to work, if I even have a job after that. But I don't want to leave a legacy of I got paid and y'all got screwed out of some money. That's not cool. And can we get to like one working definition of equity? It's like people just use it in like they just so. I was in a lecture and I was just listening to people spew these words. It's like they weren't saying anything, but innovation was there. Innovation and artists and redoing placemaking and through community engagement and community. And there's like you're putting these words together and they don't mean anything. And what is that? How is that community better from whatever you have done? You haven't told me what you've done, but you did say technology center, lab. You did say entrepreneurialism. You said capacity and change. And it's like. Yeah, it's the ridiculousness and ridiculousness of a lot of the stuff that's happening now to get paid is just like, it's sad.
Well, I mean, do you and Dee talk about, like, I mean, that's the thing, like, the vision or whatever, like, of what North looks like or what your immediate Emerson Broadway looks like. I mean, are you in constant conversation about that, or is
With
that just, like,
street,
on
yeah,
the point, like, on point,
stop.
or does it always evolve? Like, I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
like, where do you want to see that, the community, and, I mean, you guys always talk about this, but, like, I guess speak on that. Just,
So, being able to stay engaged, which means, hanging out at the bus stop, hanging out at the grocery store, going out with the young people as they engage people on the street. That means playing dominoes, that means having spades tournaments, that's being authentically connected with the community so that people can come to you for different things. And seeing what people want, and then also developing strategies and tactics to stop BS when it comes in. It's like right now the South Bronx is under attack. The piano district is not a good thing. It could be a good thing if the community was tied into it in an authentic way. Like I have a bunch of land and I want to make apartments because I want some extra money, and I think this neighborhood is being underutilized. I'm going to have a week-long, what do you think it should be and how do you think it should function workshop. I'll provide cupcakes and gluten-free cupcakes and hummus, and let's just chop it up for a week. Super easy. Then you get a bunch of ideas, and it doesn't have to all situate with you. And then you could gradually roll it out. Okay, we're going to rename this place because of whatever. Mott Haven is dumb, or this area is dumb. Let's have a conversation about that. But just so it's not so super oppressive and you're just like going in there, I don't care, you don't have any power, I'm gonna name it this, and we're just rolling. There's a more holistic way, and I think it's listening to the people, because people are smart and they have the solutions, and we don't have all the answers, as Kanye said.
Roger, I totally appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
This is good, man.
Thank you.
We'll finish this over beers sometime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
All right.
what's up.